I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. I alone can fix it. July 21st, 2016, at the Republican Convention in Cleveland, the 5 Trump words that officially proclaimed his bid to overthrow the traditional government of the United States of America and replace it with him. As I have argued here this week, you can look at the first 60-plus days of his presidency as a succession of losses and incompetence and humiliations that would have sent almost any other human being who found himself in Trump's shoes fleeing for the Cayman Islands. But one comment by one woman with the improbable name of Sharla McCormick has me wondering if this chaos monger, this embarrassment, this petulant little boy refusing to shake Angela Merkel's hand, this doer of this latest stuff he did just today, this imbecile in imbecile's clothing, it has me wondering if all this is actually the plan. I alone can fix it. Sharla McCormick, M-C-O-M-I-C, is the woman from Lexington, Tennessee, whom Jenna Johnson of the Washington Post found. Ms. McCormick is 52 years old. Her son lost his job, and yet his health insurance premium dropped from $567 a month to $88 a month. Quote, "A blessing from God," unquote, said Ms. McCormick. A blessing from God via Donald Trump. Quoting her again, "I think it was just because of the tax credit." That's the Trump-Ryan Republican plan to in part replace the Affordable Care Act with a series of tax credits. She thinks her son's insurance premium plummeted because of the Trump plan that has not even been passed by the House and the Senate, let alone become law yet. She thinks Trump did this for her. In fact, Obama did this for her. Her son's insurance premium dropped $479 a month due to Obamacare, but not in her mind. No, Trump brought her God's blessing. I alone can fix it. Do you remember that massive numbers of Iraqis, this is in the 21st century, mind you, massive numbers of Iraqis believed that Saddam Hussein wore a magical stone around his neck, or he had one implanted in his arm that made him invulnerable to attack, and that if somehow he was killed, chaos would consume Iraq. I alone can fix it. Have you watched Turkey in the last year? A country riven with terrorism and sectarianism, coming apart at the seams, and then this lunatic bully Erdogan, who some believe either fomented a coup against his own government, which included insurgents who just happened to not shoot down the plane he was in while they were next to it, or if it wasn't a false flag, he just happened to be in position to almost immediately exploit it, to detain, arrest, or dismiss from their jobs as many as 150,000 of his own citizens, and then put the blame on a dissident living in Pennsylvania, and then put to a national vote his bid to eliminate the remnants of Turkish democracy and place all power in his own hands. I alone can fix it. I'm a Leninist, Steve Bannon reportedly told a reporter from the Daily Beast in a 2013 conversation he now claims he does not remember. Lenin wanted to destroy the state, and that's my goal too. I want to bring everything crashing down and destroy all of today's establishment. Thus, I alone can fix it would actually just be shorthand for a longer quote. I alone can fix it after so many of you never noticed that I alone broke it. Mind you, I'm not convinced of this. Most of the fascists who have popped up to seize power in this country's history have been pretty easy to analyze. The question, why in the hell are they doing this way, does not usually come with a series of multiple-choice fascist answers. I'm still not convinced Trump and his cronies are not just morons who have tried to apply the simple rules that always worked for them in bully corporate ownership to the mega complexity of geopolitics. I'm still not convinced they're not all crazy. I'm still not convinced they're not all stoned. They sure act stoned. But what if this is the plan? Claim the British tapped his phones, threaten North Korea and China, insult the German chancellor, try to bring her into his own paranoid wiretapping hoax, quote a bozo from Fox about it, turn around and throw the bozo from Fox under the bus, blame the rest of the news media for painting the Merkel meeting as bad, and himself paint Merkel as some kind of deadbeat, and all of that in a span of just 24 hours. What would all that mean to Ms. Sharla God's Blessing McCormick of Lexington, Tennessee? Why, it would mean Her president is under attack by the British, by the Germans, by the North Koreans, by the Chinese, by Obama, by fake news, by Fox News, by the judges, by the Democrats, by the paid protesters, by the Muslims, by the Hispanics, by the non-Christians. I alone can fix it. And when it's broken, will it matter who is really at fault to Charlotte McCormick? When some atrocity from this medieval budget gets through, when, say, the Delta Regional Authority and two similar agencies that Trump wants to get cut, the agencies that fix the roads and the sewers and fund the health clinics and support the local small businesses in 698 rural counties, including in Charlotte McCormick's Tennessee. 698 rural counties, Trump won by 26%. What happens when the Delta Regional Authority goes away? Cut from the budget. Trump blames somebody else, and Charlotte McCormick blames somebody else. The Democrats did it. The Republicans did it. The career politicians did it when they altered Trump's blessed budget. That'd never work, though. Of course not. He could never get away with being president. I didn't do it. And he could never pitch for nearly 3 weeks a hoax that Barack Obama tapped his phones, or insist that that story was reported in the New York Times, or that he used quote marks on his tweets about it when half his tweets had no quote marks, or claim that he disproved birtherism, or insist that the generals lost the Navy SEAL in Yemen, or contend that the judiciary had no right to interfere with his idea of legal and illegal travel bans, or his idea of what is safe and what is terroristic. And he could never get people thinking the way they thought in Iraq or the way they're thinking now in Turkey. He could never get Charlotte McCormick to convince herself by herself that her son's insurance dropped $479 a month, not due to Obamacare, but due to Trump tax credits that don't exist yet. And even if she did start thinking that way, so what? She's obviously on the fringes of society. She's not very bright. She's a retired school teacher. Charlotte McCormick and her friends, by the way, campaigned for Trump, started a motorcade, shouting his name at passersby as they did. Quote, "We said, who else would we do this for besides Trump? We agreed on the Lord. We would stand here for the Lord, but that's about it." So what happens if McCormick's son now actually loses his insurance because of Trump and Ryan and the Republicans? Presumably all Trump would have to do is blame somebody else, anybody. She already believes him. He could probably convince her he has a magic stone under his skin. But if all this is the plan, maybe that stone is for later. Maybe that's for when there is a real crisis that Trump has fostered and he ignores the courts or the Congress or the Constitution about it and blames somebody else for all of it. Right now, the only thing he has to do is just say it again to her. I alone can fix it. After so many of you never noticed that I alone broke it. Resist. Peace.